This movie is on error messages, which you will no doubt run into. We're going to begin by looking at the error smart tag, and then we're going to look at the error messages one by one. The NUM, the number error message, the value error message, divided by 0, the name error message, the world famous NA, which you will see, the reference error message, Null, which you might not have ever seen before, and the railroad tracks, which I'm sure you're familiar with those as well. So I've got a little schedule of all the error messages that you could run into using Excel and a formula that actually generated the error message. The formula in D5 is the formula that's in C5. This is just a text version of that formula. And then I've got the reason why you would get that error message. I'm going to begin by looking at the smart tag that you get when you have background error checking turned on. There's a problem with a number used in the formula. So first you get a description of what the error refers to. Left-clicking the smart tag, it's the number error. Probably could have figured that out. It says NUM. You can get help on this error. If you left-click that, you'll get online help. You can left-click Show Calculation Steps, which will take you to the formula evaluator, which we're going to cover in another movie. You can ignore the error, which you can do without having to click Ignore Error. But when you click this, the green triangle in the upper left-hand corner of the cell will disappear, and I'll show you that in a second. You can edit the formula in the formula bar, which of course you could do that without left-clicking this option in the smart tag. And you can left-click the last one and get the Excel options dialog box to change some of the background error checking rules or to turn it off completely. I'm going to left-click Cancel and go back to Ignore Error. When I left-click off of that, the little green triangle in the upper left-hand corner is gone. But I don't want to ignore the error. I want to explain it. So the NUM error message is a result of generating a number that's either too large or too small. And the formula 150 caret 150 is 150 factorial. So I am asking Excel to multiply 150 times itself 150 times. And it doesn't want to do that because the number is astronomically huge. So I get the NUM error message. The value error message. You'll see the value error message when you try to perform math on a text string. In this case, I'm trying to divide A by 10. That's not possible, and Excel is telling me that by showing me that error message. Another thing that's not possible is to divide by 0. This is an error message that's fairly common. It pops up because cell references may be wrong. You're copying a formula down that's valid in the cell that you're copying it from, but the cells that you're copying the formula to are referencing a cell that contains a 0, and you've probably seen this before. You can't divide by 0. The next error message is a missing range, name question mark, and you'll see this in other cases too, but in this case, the name missing range is a missing range. It doesn't exist. If missing range was referring to a single cell, the value in that cell would be displayed in C8. But since it doesn't exist, we're getting the name error message. Going down to the next one, not available. This one, if you haven't seen this one yet, you'll see it soon. VLOOKUPs are commonly used by Excel users, and you will run into the case where you're looking for a reference. In this case, in the formula, it's 100, in a range, I5 to J11, which contains actually nothing. And so Excel can't find 100 in that range because there's nothing in that range. And you get the famous N/A or not available. The reference does not exist. Arrowing down. You may have seen this before too. Now, I created this error message by first building a formula that was 10 plus a cell. I don't remember which cell it was, but then I deleted that cell. And when you delete a cell, your formulas will show you this. It will replace the reference with this error message. And you have no way of knowing what the original reference was. But since in this case the cell was deleted, if it originally referred to A10 and A10 was still there, that would sort of be inaccurate because you've deleted cell A10. And that's what gave rise to the error message. And for Excel just to maintain the reference of A10 wouldn't be the thing you would want it to do either. But like I said, you do lose what was the original reference. It would be nice if after REF exclamation point, you had maybe parentheses that told you what the original reference was. Maybe we'll see that in a subsequent version of Excel. The next error message you may have never seen before, and it is the null error message. It's a message that you'll get when you refer to a cell that doesn't exist. In this case, I've got the intersection of name range 1 with name range 2. That's what that formula is trying to do. But since name range 1 is that area and name range 2 is this area, the intersection of those two ranges doesn't exist. They don't intersect. So Excel is giving me the null error message. And the last one on this list is really not an error message, and you have probably seen this before. It's simply the case where you have a number that's in a column that isn't wide enough to display the number. So those are Excel's error messages. We took a look at the smart tag that's associated with the error messages, which gives you a few options to either resolve it, change it. You can get some help on the error. You can ignore the error. And then we looked at all the error messages, the num error message, which you get if the number is too large, the value error message when you're trying to perform math on a text string, the divided by 0 when you're trying to divide by 0, the name when there's a missing range, the not available NA, which you'll see if you use VLOOKUPs with any frequency, the reference error message that you'll get if you delete a cell or a range that's referred to in the original formula, the null error message, which you'll see when you refer to a cell that doesn't exist. In this case, it's the intersection of two ranges that don't intersect. And the railroad tracks, which you'll see when you have a number that's too wide for the column to display.